Good evening, everyone. On this week's episode of Whether or Not, I'm your host, Jordyn, Jenna.
And I'm your forecaster, Matt Yarosewick.
So let's talk about the weather for this weekend. It's cooling down a lot.
Yes, temperatures will still be below average. We saw very cold temperatures move into the area. Cold air mass moved down from the Arctic, bringing those colder temperatures and even some snowflakes across much of the state. No snowflakes or rain is in the forecast this weekend, but those temperatures will stay below average.
That's good to hear for the game. Speaking of colder weather, we have a couple nature in the news stories. One about how colder temperatures affect icy bridges, as well as sea ice extended in the Arctic and Antarctic.
And also we have a feature from Hannah Evans on sunsets.
But first, nature in the news. Arctic sea ice extent is nearing record low. Alaskan temperatures burst records while wildfires burned across the region, both adding to the disappointing factor of sea ice melting more than it should be. As climate warms, both the Arctic and the Antarctic sea ice extent continues to shrink. Sea ice extent is especially scarce in the Arctic. For the past 17 years, the sea ice extent for the Arctic minimum has been below long-term average. In fact, the past 10 lowest years have occurred since 2007. Every decade, Arctic ice extents are declining by about 13%. Not only is the amount of ice dwindling down, but the concentration is also decreasing. The ice continues to become thinner and more fragile as the years progress. As the sea ice continues to melt, extreme heat temperatures are more apparent as well. With the constant melting ice, more of the ocean water is exposed, and the ocean absorbs heat better than ice does, making the air above it warmer. Additionally, as the sea ice concentration lowers, more greenhouse gases are released into the atmosphere.
With winter weather and cold air already affecting parts of the country, driving conditions could be negatively impacted. Snow and ice always pose a threat while driving. These conditions make roads slippery. Cold temperatures could also create slippery roads and black ice on the roads that have a thin coating of water on them. But have you ever let your guard down if temperatures are above the freezing mark? Recent incidents across the country show that even with temperatures in the mid-30s, bridges and overpasses could still pose a threat. The ground may not be to the freezing mark, but an elevated roadway with cold air and wind rushing under it could create a temperature on that surface that falls below the freezing point. This means that any water or melting ice on that surface will freeze. Be aware of this as we head closer to the colder months, as bridges and overpasses will become slippery and could cause problems for drivers. Be safe this winter season and take it slow on wet or icy roadways.
Now that fall is coming to an end, let's take a moment to hand it to the trees for constantly helping our environment. Climate Central recently released updates on how trees can reduce stormwater flood risks using data from this past year focusing on flooding areas ranging from Houston, Texas to the Mississippi River. Climate change continues to lead to heavier downpours. For 3 months during this past spring, the U.S. set a new record for being the wettest of a 12-month period. More areas, specifically in the Midwest and Northeast, are continuing to experience even wetter than normal averages. Trees absorb rainwater, reduce erosion, create more permeable soils, and save about 400 billion gallons of stormwater runoff in the U.S. each year. Not only do trees limit the amount of runoff, but they also remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, helping forests to offset around 20% of the greenhouse gas emissions every single year. And they also remove 35 billion pounds of air pollutants annually.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Matt Yarosewick here with your Central Pennsylvania forecast. This weekend will feature temperatures below average, but the sun will be shining for most of the weekend, and we'll have a beautiful but chilly game day here in Happy Valley as Indiana comes into Beaver Stadium to play our Nittany Lions on Saturday for a noon kickoff, and we'll see that in just a minute. For Friday, though, we are watching a weak cold front up to our north. That will be bringing some lake effect snows just off of Lake Erie and up into western parts of New York. Here in State College, we'll be looking at mostly sunny skies, though, just a few high clouds. And then we did watch a cold front move through during the day on Thursday. That now off the coast and suppressing our storm system that is bringing some showers down to the Carolinas. And that will move our way not into State College, but closer to our area and could affect the weather along the East Coast as we head into Sunday. But for the day on Saturday, mostly sunny skies still here in Happy Valley, but high pressure moving closer to the region, so we will be a little bit chilly as winds will shift out of the north, keeping things very chilly, and our storm system still down to our south. As we head to the day on Sunday, clouds do move into the area as our high pressure moves off just a little bit to the northeast, and our low pressure system that has been suppressed down to our south moves a little bit closer, and we can see some showers possible from Massachusetts all the way down the eastern coast down towards Georgia this Sunday and into the day on Monday before that storm system will finally move out. But here in State College for Friday, looking at mostly sunny skies, a high of 45 degrees, so still a little chilly. And as we head into Friday night, it will be rather chilly as we drop down to 22 degrees, but mostly clear skies. Also, then the day on Saturday, 35 degrees will be your high temperature, mostly sunny skies though. Also, here in Happy Valley, as I mentioned earlier, Penn State playing Indiana at noon at Beaver Stadium here on Saturday. It'll be a chilly game day with kickoff around 32 degrees and only getting into the mid-30s by the end of the game. And if you head out early to tailgate, you could even be in the 20s if you're heading out there early. Sunday, though, temperature does get up a few degrees to 40. And we will see sun and clouds, some increasing clouds ahead of our storm system that is down to our south, and we'll be kind of moving some more moisture into the area. We won't see any showers, but we will be seeing those clouds increasing throughout the day and as we head into the day on Monday. Up next, we'll have a feature by Hannah Evans on sunsets.
Ever since I was little, I loved looking at sunsets. I know I am not alone because I see a lot of pictures and posts about them. Sunsets are different colors at different times of the year. This inspired me to investigate how this occurs. I think a lot of people would agree with me that no matter when they happen, they can be spectacular. The different colors of different sunsets result from a process called scattering. Scattering is when molecules in the atmosphere change directions and cause different directions of light rays. Scattering then directly affects the colors that we see in the sky during sunset. Scattering is the main process, but another explanation as to why some sunsets have different colors than others is determined by the wavelength of light and the size of light particles. Short wavelengths project blue and violet tones, while long wavelengths project yellow, orange, and red tones. Since wavelength is shorter during the days, we see our blue sky. When the sun is setting, the sun is so low on the horizon, which causes more scattering, and this scatters away the blue and violet from our eyes. The light has to pass through a lot of the atmosphere, pushing away those blue tones. The wavelength becomes longer, which shows us those beautiful yellow, orange, and red sunset tones. Clouds can also act as a canvas for beautiful sunsets. The sun's rays are actually absorbed and reflected by big, fluffy clouds. That is, if the clouds have just the right density. If the clouds are too dense, this will block the colors of the sunset. In general, clouds between the heights of 5 kilometers to 12 kilometers above sea level produce the best sunsets. Even after the sun sets, these clouds allow for us to still see the colors since they are absorbing and reflecting them. Weirdly enough, pollutants in the air also allow for more animated sunsets. Natural particles from dust, soot, smog, and ash are responsible for the most brilliant sunsets. This happens because these particles are extremely small, which help to filter out other colors and allow us to see the most vivid pinks, oranges, and reds. This is only if these pollutants are small enough and natural. As the pollutants get bigger and when they are man-made, it creates a heavier smog, which does not allow for these beautiful sunsets to be seen.
If you have noticed, this time of the year is when the sunsets are way more vivid. In the fall and winter months, sunsets produce the most dramatic colors. This is mainly due to the weather patterns allowing for clearer, drier air and higher clouds, which helps more colors to travel to our eyes without getting scattered by the more particles in the air. As the Earth begins to rotate away from the angle of our summer sun, the sun is hitting the Earth at a lower angle, which allows for even more scattering before the light reaches our eyes. This will become even more prominent in the winter months. Here is a fall sunset that I captured on Saturday. You can see that these clouds have just the right amount of density and allows for the colors to be absorbed and reflected off of them. As the sun sets, it produces scattering, giving us those deep orange and pink colors.
Now that we know how sunsets are formed, they are formed by scattering in the atmosphere. Certain types of clouds, certain types of pollution can help brighten their colors, and you see the most spectacular sunsets in the fall and the winter months. So get out there and look at some sunsets. From Penn State's Weather or Not, I'm Hannah Evans.
Hello again, everyone. I'm back with your extended forecast, which will take us through next week. And we are looking at temperatures beginning the week starting to trend upward as we head to the middle of next week before we do see another chance for rain towards the end of next week. But first, this weekend, not looking too bad. No rain in the forecast, mostly sunny skies. Friday and Saturday, we will see those clouds increasing as we head to the day on Sunday. But temperatures 45 there for Friday, trending just a little bit down to 35 there on Saturday for the football game here at Penn State, and getting into the teens as we drop overnight into the day on Sunday, where temperatures will be up just a touch to about 40 degrees. As we look at your extended forecast, though, we can see temperatures will be trending upward through the first half of the week. We can see cloudy there on Monday with that storm system just to our south, as we saw earlier on your short-range forecast. Then we do see some peaks of sun Tuesday and Wednesday, and then as we head towards the end of the week, we're looking at another system that will move into the area, and that could bring some showers, and then we do expect a cold front to move through from Thursday into Friday, and that is why we see that last bar there for Friday drop just a little bit.
So we're actually getting to those colder winter temperatures, and I'm not really excited about it.
Neither am I.
Because especially this game this Saturday, it's going to be cold
It will be
outside.
a very chilly kickoff this Saturday here in State College.
Speaking of colder weather and snow, your Weather Whiz quiz question for this week was, as of November 14th, how many days have passed since State College has seen a measurable amount of snowfall? A, 256, B, 274, C, 289, or D, 300. And if you chose A, 256, then you would have been correct. So.
Yes, and actually 256 days ago was March 4th, and State College actually got 2.8 inches of snow that day.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that was our last measurable snow since that date. We still have not seen measurable snow. We've just seen a trace of snow in State College, but I know other places around the state, like your hometown.
Yeah, in Northwest Pennsylvania and Erie, they're really dealing with a lot of lake effect snow, especially. Today, they had a lot of cancellations, actually, because of all the snow they're dealing with.
Oh, I believe it.
So it's crazy how we can have a dusting and they can have like a foot.
Yeah, that is crazy, and that's what lake effect snow will do.
That's all we have time for on this week's episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Jordyn Jenna.
And I'm your forecaster, Yarosewick.
Have a nice night, everyone.